Hi, this is Sara Schutte with Business English for Professionals. Thanks for joining us again. Today, we are going to be looking at something very exciting. It's grammar logic. So here, we're going to take a look at a couple different things that are necessary for structuring the English language. Those things consist of the parts of speech, verbs, nouns, adjectives. We'll take a look at those. Then we're going to look at word order. So that's important too, so you can do the correct structuring in English and be able to understand better. So for comprehension, word order is really important, and it helps you get a more in-depth understanding of English. Then we also have interrogative expressions to form the correct questions, verb tenses and forms as well, how they work, etc. And to break down the verb tenses and forms, we're going to look at the affirmative, of course, the negative, the interrogative, and this is broken down by each verb tense and form. Timeline, English is very sequential, so everything has to do with a sequence and how it falls on the timeline and how you're expressing actions versus facts versus states of being, etc. And then, of course, related to a timeline. The usage, so how you use each of these verb forms and some comparisons between two different forms so you understand which one to choose. So that's grammar logic. Now, let's quickly take a look at the parts of speech that we use during the business English training. So, of course, we've got the verb here, and this is an action or a state. And we indicate it with this V, like this. For example, to be, to have, to do, to like, to work. The infinitive is to be, and the base form, have. Okay, it's called the bare form or base form. Business is good. I speak English. These are verbs. Nouns is a thing or a person, is a noun. This is how it's indicated in this training. Program, work, device, town. We have countable and uncountable nouns, which we'll take a look at, and we'll see how those work. So again, this the company makes computers in Taiwan, company, computer, Taiwan, those are all nouns. Pronoun is what replaces a noun, and we have a specific grammar section regarding pronouns. So I, me, he, him, myself, someone. This is politics, we work with them. So this, we, them, those are all pronouns. And basically they, again, are substituting a noun. Then we're going to look at adjectives. Adjectives we indicate like this, ADJ, period. These describe a noun. Good, interesting, cold, lovely. Tesla makes powerful electric cars. And we'll look at word order in English. The last word in one of these sequences is the main noun, whereas adjectives that come before it describe. Okay, so it's an electric car. It's a powerful electric car. Okay, then we have adverbs indicated like this, ADV, period, and these describe a verb. Sometimes they describe an adjective, and sometimes they even describe another adverb. So quickly, and very often adverbs, as a rule, have the ly ending, but there are some exceptions. So, well is an exception. I read slowly. This is describing how I read, okay, the action slowly. And this is I'm very busy. Okay, so this is describing busy. I am busy. Busy is an adjective using the verb to be. And then very is describing busy. I read quickly. That's describing how I read. Articles. These define a noun as specific or unspecific. So the is a definite article. The book I'm reading, specific. These are indefinite article. I'm reading a book. Okay, it's not specific, just some book, one book, a book. Okay. The class was an easy way to learn the subject. Okay, so the class, very specific. That's one particular specific class. An easy way, one way that was easy out of many. And then to learn the subject, this specific subject that we're speaking about in context here. Prepositions indicated like this, PREP. These link a noun to another word, to, at, after, on, but, across, over, through. They indicate time, place, movement. This can be concrete or abstract, but generally position or place, time, location as well, and then movement. And prepositional phrases add more information to your main sentence. So for example, on Monday, in the morning, okay, that's a prepositional phrase. To work is part of the main structure of the sentence. Conjunctions, these join clauses or sentences, and, but, when, I like business and engineering, but I don't travel. Okay. Interjection, exclamation, actually, well, however, oops. I always recommend that you look these up when you find one that you're not familiar with. Look it up on dictionary.com or on word reference so you understand what it is. Participle, indicated like this. It's a verb form which acts as a noun, verb, or adjective sometimes. So we have the present participle. Present participle is the ing. So the present participle of work, working, be, being, think, thinking. And these are often used as a noun. If you want to use the verb to run as the subject of your sentence, you say running is my favorite sport, for example, or my favorite sport, subject, is verb, object, running. Okay, so as an object or subject, as a noun, you use the present participle. We'll look at this a little more. And then the past participle is the third column of the verb. Regular verbs, work, worked, worked. That's a regular verb. It's the third column. Be, was, were, been, third column. Think, thought, thought, third column. Okay, that's called the past participle. Running is my favorite sport. Subject, verb, and then this is functioning all as the object. Sport is the main noun object. So subject, verb, object. Okay, subject, ing form. Or the managing company has changed billing. Okay, so again, changed, past participle, that forms the main verb, and billing is the object here, and this is the ing form of the word to bill, to charge, okay, which is an accounting sort of a phrase. Okay, we'll look at that again later in detail. Auxiliary, the verb which formulates the form or the tense. There are 3 auxiliaries in English: to be, to do, and to have. Stop. Those are the auxiliaries. And out of these 3 verbs, these form all other tenses and verb forms. Okay, so we'll take a look at how those work. We are discussing, okay, this is the present continuous, auxiliary to be plus verb plus ing. We are discussing, the auxiliary is indicated AUX period. But let's take a look now at the main structure of a sentence and the word order. In English, generally speaking, we have subject plus verb plus object, speaking about affirmative and negative sentences. For example, if we want to look at these, we could say SpaceX, subject, makes, verb, rockets, object. Okay, this is with nouns. Here we've got a pronoun, they, don't read, negation, present simple, the verb, books, object. Now that's your main structure. So the subjects can be nouns or pronouns, same as the objects. They can be adjectives plus nouns or adverbs plus adjectives plus nouns. The verb plus ing, which is the present participle, which functions as a noun. Okay. Running is my favorite sport. We can also have adjectives and adverbs mixed in there. And let's look at this one really fast. This is with adjectives. So we've got complex grammatical structures, subject, and then verb, express, object, profound synchronized ideas. Okay, so here ideas is your object, structures is your subject. So structures express ideas. Okay, so that's your main sentence. Then we add some adjectives, grammatical structures. Okay, complex grammatical structures. Okay, or synchronized ideas, profound synchronized ideas. So you're basically elaborating on your subject and your object with these adjectives, and they come before the main noun. So that's just your basic structure for an affirmative or negative sentence in English. Let's take a look at the interrogatives. Interrogatives are a little bit complex, not too bad, but there are 5 main structures of interrogatives or questions. The 5 different forms are the verb to be, and let's first take a look at the verb to be. The verb to be is particular, it's an auxiliary as well. It forms its own negative, and it doesn't require an auxiliary for the question form. I am, you are, he is, she is, it is, we are, you are, they are. That is an affirmative. I am American, you are French, she is Brazilian. That is an affirmative sentence. To make the question, all we have to do is switch these 2 columns. So basically we take I am and we do am I, okay? So this becomes a question, am I? So if you say, am I making sense? Are you from here? Is he Spanish? This is our question, okay? So that's all we have to do is just switch those 2. We'll have more information about the verb to be in the grammar bonus. Then we have ASI, which is an acronym, and this acronym stands for, can you guess? Auxiliary verb, subject, infinitive verb. So this is the simple question form. Okay, this is for closed questions, which we'll look at. If you want more information about auxiliary verbs or pronouns or subjects or the verb forms, then you can reference the grammar bonus. How does this work? Here we have, for example, do you know? Okay, this is the auxiliary. This is a present simple. So do you know? Are they going? This is a present continuous with the verb to go. Okay, or has he been? Okay, here with all of these, we have the subject. All right. Now, these again are closed questions. So we're asking a yes or no answer. Okay, we're not soliciting other information. We just want to know yes or no. Do you know? Yes, I do. Okay. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, I don't. And we're repeating the auxiliary. And that is to affirm that we're responding, we're answering that direct question. So do you know? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Okay. Are they going? Yes, they are. No, they aren't. Has he been? Yes, he has. No, he hasn't. Okay. This is the present perfect. And we'll look at what that is. But we respond with the auxiliary. Okay. Very simple. We'll see these in every verb form and tense. We'll come across these again. So this is just a quick overview. These are yes or no answers. Okay, so they're not soliciting additional information. So that's about it for those closed questions. Now, let's look at the next one, which is quasi, which builds on ASI. Quasi, again, is an acronym, and it stands for question word or phrase, which we'll look at in a moment, auxiliary verb, subject, infinitive verb. Let's take a look at some of the question words. Who, we know that. Okay, speaking about a person or a company or an entity of some sort. Okay, who. What, usually speaking about things, general things, what. When is time, speaking about specific times of day, days of the week, etc. Where, places, locations. Okay. Why, this is wanting a reason. How, this is additional information. The difference between why and how is why is specifically wanting motivation, whereas how is wanting more method or methodology. Okay. Then we have whose, which whose is similar to who, but whose is possessive. Whose book is this? Whose car is that? Okay. Whose is that car? All right, so there's a couple different ways to use whose, but it's meaning possession, somebody's possession. Okay, whose book, whose car. We also have whom. Okay, whom is like who, but who is a subject and whom is an object. Whom are you writing to? I am writing to whom. Okay, so whom is the object. Then we have which is similar to what. It's actually interchangeable, but what is general. Okay, what kind of food do you like? Open. Which kind of food do you like? Spanish or French? Okay, so you have a choice. It's more limited, which is more a selection or a choice. Those are question words, okay? Question phrases when we are soliciting more information. For example, who in Delhi? Okay, and this is what we'll look at it again, a prepositional phrase. Whose client? So this would be the client of who. Client of who? What time? Okay, at what hour? Which area? So which area in the world? Is it North America, South America, etc., etc.? Okay, more specific. When in the afternoon, prepositional phrase. So beginning with a preposition. Okay, so these that start with a preposition, they're called prepositional phrases, and it's just additional information. These prepositional phrases can be attached to the question word. Sometimes they can go at the beginning or the end of the sentence. Who do you know in Delhi? In Delhi, who do you know? Who in Delhi do you know? Okay, so you've got some options for structuring. With where, you're going to be using the same thing, like where in the world. You'd use a prepositional phrase. And then with how has a lot of different question expressions. So how much, which is for an uncountable, how much time, how much money, how much energy, how many, okay, referring to accountable, how many days, how many things, how many people, how old, speaking about age, okay, so how old is your car, how old is your dog, How long? How long is referring to time, like a timeline. So how long have you lived here? How far? Distance. Okay. How far is it to Rome? Okay. How far? Distance. How often? Speaking about repetition, something that is repeated. So how often do you travel? Okay. In what sort of rhythm? And then how soon is proximity of time. So how soon can you be here? How soon will you go? How soon are you going? Referring to proximity of time. So that is it for quasi, with the question words or phrases of quasi. Let's look at the structure. So whose client? Auxiliary do you know? Okay. Or what time are they going? How often has he been? And these are open questions. So quasi deals with open questions where we want information referring to this column. So the first question word or phrase column, this is the information we want. So we want to pay attention to this because this is what we need to answer. Whose client do you know? Okay. Yours. This is it. Possessive pronoun, which we'll look at the pronouns again later. Whose client do you know? Yours. Or whose client do you know? Your client. Or even more complete, whose client do you know? I know your client. Okay, so those are all potential answers, and we're referring to whose client. What time are they going? 10 a.m. Very short answer, referring to what time. At 10 a.m., a little more complete with the correct preposition, referring to a specific hour or periods of time. We'll look at that. Or they're going at 10 a.m., complete answer. Okay, so all of these are correct, and it's referring to what time. How often has he been? Twice. Okay, 2 times. He's been twice with a sentence. So this is quasi. And again, open questions, you need to answer the question word or phrase column. This is the information you're giving. That is quasi. Let's look at the ones with no subject. Okay, that follow the subject, verb, object format. It's like for a quasi question where there's no subject. We're asking the subject. So again, this is the same one as we just saw, but in this case, we don't have a subject because we want to know the subject. So we don't have an auxiliary and we don't have a subject. Who, and then basically the verb form, and then the object here. So who built Rome? Okay, or who builds the motorways? Simple past. This is present simple, and we're using who, third person singular, like he, she, it builds. Okay, this is a present simple. We will look at this soon. Who builds the motorways? Okay, so basically this doesn't follow the quasi form anymore. It follows subject, verb, object. Okay, who built Rome? Simple past. Who builds the motorways? Present simple. Okay, and these are questions where we're soliciting, we're asking for the subject. Okay, so there's no subject in the question because that is the question. So who built Rome? The Romans, or Romulus and Remus. Who builds the motorways? Contractors. Okay, and again, we're answering who here. All right, so that is quasi with no subject. Okay, so again, following subject, verb, object format. All right, then we have the last form, which is asi, and these are leading questions. So these are questions where we are assuming the answer. All right, so these are structured as affirmative or negative. Okay, we have subject plus verb plus object, similar to number 4, the quasi ones. So you understand French. So subject, verb, object. Okay, subject, verb, object. You, subject, which is a pronoun. Understand, verb, object here, French. Okay, so you understand French, don't you? All right, now here I'm using don't because this is a present simple, and do, okay, or the negation don't, is the auxiliary of present simple, which we will look at later, don't worry. So again, here we have, you understand French, don't you? Confirm with the opposite auxiliary. So this is affirmative, this is negative. Okay, and again, these are leading questions that assume the answer. So if I say, you understand French, don't you? I'm assuming that you're going to say, yes, I do. Okay, yes, I do understand French. So I'm assuming this affirmative here. They haven't seen it. So here I'm assuming the negative. They haven't seen it, have they? Okay, same subject and same, so they, and same auxiliary. Okay, so we confirm with the opposite. So haven't is the negation. Here's the affirmative. They haven't seen it, have they? He's going, isn't he? Okay, this is to be. This is he is. And then we have the negation here. So confirm with the opposite. He's going, isn't he? All right, so this is very common. And again, you need to understand what your auxiliary is going to be, which of course, after this class, you will have no doubts whatsoever. We'll nail that one into your head pretty well. So just keep watching. And in any case, this is the correct way to do a leading question. Now, this is a common shortcut. So this is okay. You can use this. It's not necessarily 100% correct, but it's common. So you understand French, right? They haven't seen it, right? He's going, right? Okay, that's perfectly fine. It's a shortcut. It's a little more American. British English, you hear it as well. We are looking at correct British English and correct international English, and this is correct here with using the auxiliary. But this is acceptable, not incorrect. Okay, it's a shortcut. It's perfectly fine. And then you also have this one, which is common shortcut number 2. And this is, you understand French, or they haven't seen it, he's going. So it's just structured as an affirmative or negative sentence, but you have the intonation at the end with a question mark, and you understand it's a question. So instead of saying, do you understand French? That's correct. You understand French? That is it for our interrogatives. Wasn't that fun? Again, we're going to see all of these again every time we do a different verb tense and form. So there will be plenty of practice available. But again, the 5 interrogative structures. So if you have any questions, make sure that you check us out on the website or send your comments, questions, anything like that. We've got the chat on the website as well, which is right down here. And that is about it for word order interrogatives question structures. Now we are going to get into verb tenses and forms. This is the most exciting part, I think. It's a little bit complicated, but we've broken it down to make it very, very simple. And again, English language, like any language, when you are starting off at the simple phase, it's simple. When you get into more complex structures, it's complex, but again, this is broken down in an analytical way that makes it very simple to understand and to reproduce and to apply. So don't worry whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take a look at these. We have the tenses, forms, and the compounds. The tenses have to do with the kind of tenses that are in every language. There are 3 of them: the present, right now, the past, and the future. Okay? And those are the main tenses. Now, in English, we have 3 main forms plus the first compound form. And these are simple, continuous, which is sometimes called progressive. Okay, but we're using the more contemporary name, which is continuous. Then we have perfect. And then this, one of the compounds, it's a double compound, but in any case, the perfect continuous. We also have the specific compounds, which are passive and modal. Okay, we'll take a look at all of those. Now, we know we have the present simple form, the past simple, the future simple, but then also the present continuous, the past continuous, the future continuous, the present perfect, the past perfect, the future perfect, the present perfect continuous, the past perfect continuous, and the future perfect continuous. So there's a lot of things to look at there. Very simple, don't worry. We've got all of these forms, but we also have the present simple passive, or the past perfect modal, the future simple passive, the present perfect modal, etc., etc. So we'll look at all of those. It's quite simple. It really is. We'll also look at the imperatives, which are very necessary, giving directions, orders, advice, etc. We'll take a look at those pretty soon. Conditionals, and this is, once we've looked at all of these, we'll look at the conditionals. It's important to know the modal verbs for the conditionals. This is a hypothetical, theoretical situation and how to describe that, related to time as well. So it's either now towards the future, past, or completely imagined. And then we also have reported speech, which is very necessary for very correct English. And this is reported speech or reported thought, such as he said, they described, my neighbor asked me, and how we place those on a timeline. And we'll look at those again, of course, related to the timeline, which is very important in English for the sequential aspect of the English language. All right, that is about all for grammar logic. Now, again, if you have any questions about that, please let me know, and comments, questions, always welcome. And next up, we're going to get into the verb tenses and forms. So enjoy, have a good one. Stay tuned for practice and other exercises, and we'll see you soon.